I pinched nerves and my right side about went disabled.
Really?
And it took a long time to get through that, but how bad that messed with my head, I'm like, I'm a lot more vain than I thought because this is freaking killing me. Like, I had a pack here, and I looked like a 10-year-old little boy on my right side.
Welcome back to the Level Up Life, Muscle and Mindset Mastery. I'm your host, Adam. Got Waz here with me. We got a special guest today. Tara, do you pronounce it Moreno?
Yeah.
Moreno. Mm-hmm. And you're from Flint, right?
I am, born and raised.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had Sheriff Swanson on, and we actually, that's where we met, was at Genesee County Jail. Not in a bad way, though. It was for the Ignite graduation.
Yep. Yeah.
That was an experience.
Yeah, it was an experience, and it was really nice chatting with you about what you do and your story too as a person in recovery.
Yeah.
So
let's start in the beginning. As far as I'd like to hear about your journey before and then how you got into recovery.
So I am from Flint. So I raised like with a family. My dad worked at the shop. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, mostly worked in the school and party. And my dad worked for the shop, and he, partook in a lot of that kind of behavior, which those that know, right? So I really excelled at school, even despite my parents only having like a high school education. But I went through a lot of pain through my father's addiction and through the codependency that my parents had. So fast forward, my dad leaves the home. So, and started a new family. I was 14, 15 years old. And then that was the time where I was like, boys, boys, boys. And then, drink, and then smoke weed. And then, the whole party situation. I ended up going to Michigan State University though. So I left home, went to Michigan State, and that's when really everything, the addiction really took root. And it was every, weekend, and it bled into the week. And, I started getting into more of cocaine and then the designer drugs. I was into the rave scene. And then it was right before I graduated where things kind of started to not click anymore. Like I was, really looking at mental health. I'm like, why do I have anxiety? Why do I have these things I didn't deal with? And then I started with the mental health. And then what I did is I went to Chicago, got my degree by the grace of God. Was able to get
what's
that.
your degree?
So I have a bachelor's in telecommunications with a minor in film.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to go out west, and I wanted to do music videos. So that was kind of, and I still was able to dabble in some of that later in life. But so fast forward, Chicago, worked for a record label out there, lasted about a year, and then I came home. And then when I came home, things kind of really even progressed further. My first child, my daughter, that was kind of when my story of recovery started. So I was able to stay sober through the pregnancy, but with the mental health issues, I went to a psychiatrist, and she was 3 months old, and they prescribed me Klonopin. And Klonopin, if people don't know, it triggers the same part of the brain. So when you take Klonopin, it's like it's opening up that gateway for the alcohol addiction. So put me on Klonopin, and I was out at the bar, 3-month-old baby at home, not really understanding still, and I was, out doing the same thing.
Yeah, the Klonopin, is a downer. And I've experienced that before, and it always caused me to black out. So is that something you experienced too? Frequent blackouts or? Not
the blackout, but I was like, this is like the answer to all my problems, right? And then it was like I had a 7-year journey with an addiction to Klonopin. And that's really the only time that I was ever really addicted to a drug. I, was a binger.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really like did anything every day. I'd drink, I would do cocaine, and then I wouldn't do it for a few weeks or whatever. But the Klonopin was the hardest addiction, and trying to get off of it was so difficult. It's such a strange detox.
That's one I've never experienced, but I've heard they're really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that like? I mean, do you want to relive that?
Skin crawling, feeling like there was something like that I wanted to pull out like of my like literally on my head. Like I was like, and the only thing that would help was sprints. I was sprinting. Yes, I was running.
It's awesome. Exercise is always the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I have always been an athlete like my whole life. So I ran track. I was on the dance team. I did play ball when I was younger, but that's always been a consistent like support for me through all of it. The addiction and through my recovery.
How did you find out sprints were?
Well, I think it's the heart, right? The elevated heart. When you sprint and when you work out, you purposefully elevate the heart and you get the blood pumping. And I think that's part of it. And then you get the endorphins and the dopamine from, that from exercise. And I think it helps to counteract any of the other
the withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, was it a conscious thing of like, I'm going to go out for a run and sprint and you kind of felt that?
It's the only thing that helped.
Relief, or was it just by happen chance where you had to run and were like, oh, and then it became a plan? It
just, I had tried everything like I was trying to do at that point. And remember that this was like before like I had all these tools that I have now. Mm-hmm. So I just went back to my roots, and it was even as a child, like you'd catch me running barefoot outside all the time, but it was, the only thing that helped. So
I guess I'm weird in this way. Like when I was a kid, I didn't like the way grass felt on my feet. I didn't like stuff on my hands either, but just a weird fact. Yeah.
Maybe a little neurodivergent too.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to your story and the journey. I always think relate, don't compare. And I can really relate to like the dad. My dad had a substance abuse issue. My parents split up. My substance abuse kind of jumped from that point. I had abandonment issues from that, from my dad leaving. Like, why does he not love me? And then that's where it's this weird, like, I don't know how I connected it in my brain, but I was like, well, my dad smoked weed. I knew this because I could smell it all the time. Mm-hmm. Maybe if I smoke weed, I'll understand him better and it'll connect me with him, because I wanted this connection with him so bad. And then he moved to Chicago and then Knoxville, Tennessee. So I wanted this connection with him so bad, and I gravitated to the people that were using, where it was like, I never really felt closer to him. I was traveling the same path as him. So I guess in the big picture, maybe I have some empathy for what he went through, which has gotten me to a point where I can forgive him for, he wasn't a good dad. But it's just a thought I had listening to your story. But see, back to the sprints. The withdrawals, right?
Yeah, that was the withdrawals. So I was able to get off Klonopin, and I never went back after that. So it took about 3 or 4 days before it finally left my system. But, after that period, with my son, so I have a daughter and I have a son. I call Peyton my recovery baby. She was the reason why I was able to even go to rehab, because I didn't want to have a child that didn't have a mom. Mm-hmm. And I knew that was the path I was headed down. And then Anderson came 8 years later, and Anderson was my holistic baby. So he was the one that I started researching about the food and the vaccines and what are they doing to humans, the medical system, because my experience with the medical system was so abhorrent with the addiction to the Klonopin, and just, it was like a drug dealer, mm-hmm. And a form of a prescription. I
think the medical community is getting better. about letting us know, like, hey, these things can be habit forming. Be careful. They didn't tell me when I was prescribed or it was Vicodin back then. And, the whole Purdue Pharma, you've seen the movie Painkiller with the Sackler family. Like they knew what they had and they were pushing it to make sales, right? Knowing it was going to get people hooked. Doctors were supposed to bump the strength up. So I feel like the medical community in general is kind of improved.
It's getting better, and I think that in some ways they're going the opposite way. So people that do need medication can get the medication. So it's it's an interesting thing.
Like a teeter-totter.
Yeah.
When do we balance out, right?
Yeah. That's what we're looking for is balance, right? And we're completely imbalanced in so many ways in society. And that's why we're all so sick.
Oh, yeah.
And trying to,
One of
heal from something.
Speaking of that, I just seen an article. The entire city of the San Francisco lawyer for the city is suing PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, like all these large corporations because of the crap they're putting in food and that they're making Americans sick.
Yes.
So not saying this is going to gain traction, this specific lawsuit, but what this is the incident that's going to fire off. I feel like it could be a movement, which has already started a little bit with removing dyes and so.
Yeah, RFK, and he's removing the Hep B vaccine for infants. And
which Hep C is a sexually transmitted disease and transmitted through needles, I believe, primarily, from my understanding.
Yeah. So, back to my story, when my son was born, he was born just fine. And after he had that vaccine, he had to go to the NICU. And that really made me question about what are in these vaccines. And, not to say to throw out the baby with the bathwater, but these children are being bombarded with so many vaccines and such a little body, brand new, brand new babies. So that was my journey as I started researching everything, the chemicals in our food, Monsanto. Remember, so he's 13, just turned 13 last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So this was 13 years ago when I was doing all of this.
When you said 13 years ago, I automatically was like 97. That's just weird. You ever get that where it's like, you hear like 10 years ago and you're like, oh yeah, 2000.
Yeah.
That's part because I lost like a decade plus.
How old are you at?
40.
40. Okay. Yeah. I'm 48. So a little bit on you.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. And you're
44.
Right in the middle.
All right. We're all
40s.
Yes.
We made it.
We did make it.
I didn't think I'd be here, but here I am.
Yeah. It's, so healing is definitely challenging for sure. But especially, in the culture and the society that we've created. And do I think it's getting better? I do. I think that the path that we're walking is that the darkness is coming into the light. And that's the only way you can heal it, because you can't heal what you're not aware of. And that's where I was for so many years. Like, I wasn't aware of, why was I using? Because I had this massive abandonment wound from my father. And when I found that out in rehab, I was like, oh my God, I've been killing myself over this guy, this man, right? That's not even in my life anymore. And I didn't want to do it anymore. I was like, nope, I'm going to stop punishing myself because of what happened to me.
There's people experience those wounds, especially at a young age. And sometimes it's, you don't want to confront it. Sometimes it's, you don't know how. And then it can take decades to heal. And
I get that too, but there's so many resources now. And there's I think things become an excuse after time.
Yeah. Well, and to each individual, they have to be ready to confront this, right? I had a ton of support. My family was there, my grandparents, my mom, my sister. I had all these people like, what are you doing, Adam? But I wasn't ready, So it was a matter of me getting to a point. I had all these resources that were at my disposal, counseling, friends in recovery, but I wasn't ready. It just had to get to that point for me where I was like, so you had a kid that was like
the pain was when I was in such pain and I was finally done with feeling that much pain. I believe that pain is purposeful. And I think when we bypass the pain, and we can do that so many different ways, and relationships is a way, codependency, right? Using
Gambling.
people. Oh, that's, yeah.
One phrase I used in treatment was, oh, you put down the spoon, picked up the fork, because people will go to food, and food's the most abused substance on the planet. Emotional eating, that type of stuff. I know when I got into recovery, so I gained like 30 pounds of weight in jail in 3 months, which is insane. That's what they feed you. So that just is a testament to what I was actually eating. So I went from like 140 to 143. We have an inside joke. 143 to 170. And I got to treatment and I was like just devouring food. I'm like, man, I can make like these quadruple decker PBJs, smash them. And I'm just like, so I was filling a void because food does that, gives you that dopamine hit, just like any drug does.
That was part of my journey too with my son, is going through a elimination diet to see what was causing problems for me.
Is that
and
the
him.
low FOD map?
No, it's what it is so it's allergies. My son had allergies, and he was reacting to my breast milk, which was odd because they were saying the breast is the best, and I'm like, well, why is he so sick and why isn't he gaining weight? And when I started to research, it was like these harmful allergens like gluten and dairy and soy and nuts and all these other things. I started taking them out of my diet. I felt better emotionally and he felt better physically. And I was like, oh my God, this food thing, it's so powerful. And that was kind of my journey. And I've tried all different kinds of diets. I went vegan, vegetarian, and then I went, now I'm eating meat again.
Good for you.
I
I couldn't do it. There's no way.
Well, I think that it's a spiritual thing. Yogis do it, but I don't think it's meant to be long-term because the body needs meat. It needs the source of meat, animal products. I think that they need to be harvested humanely, though. That's what I think. And I think that our food system is, with the factory farming and all of that, it's heinous what they're doing to animals. But besides that, it builds muscle. That's what, protein at every meal, Oh,
yeah, I agree. And as far as like my current journey, I'm on a whole food because I have 4 stepsons.
Okay.
And so I've been pretty good with my nutrition, but then like they'll want things and then I'm like, oh man, it's been a while since I had some Doritos. And they're just like, they're addicting. One leads to like, I quarter the bag and now my stomach hurts, right? So, and then tracking like my bowel habits along with what I'm eating, I'm like, this stuff makes me feel like trash. So quickly cut that out. Processed sugars, like why does our spaghetti sauce have added sugar? What's the point? To make it more palatable, right? Why do we need to make it more palatable?
Well, it's addictive. Sugar is so addictive.
Right.
It's another addiction.
Have you seen the movie? There's a documentary called Sugar Coated.
I haven't seen it, no.
It's, I think, from 2015. So they explain how they set us up for sugar addiction from birth. So to think about like some land or mile markers in a young child's life, what do we do for the first birthday party?
Cake, yeah.
Here's a massive cake, just gorge, right? We love it when it's like a badge of honor or a, what do they call it? Like trying to think of the.
I'll say that's perfect.
Yeah, it's a badge of honor. Like, got cake all over hands, you know, and they're just ingesting a huge amount of sugar. So then every time, I remember when I went to the grocery store with my mom, and I would be like in the checkout line, and candy is literally on the floor. That's not for us adults. That's for kids. They want them eating it. It's at their eye level. They're targeted. So what, like you said, it is addiction, because what it does to that reward center is changes it from a, you know, like a garden hose to a fire hose. So we need more. We were just talking about this with Carrie. Sugar is it. If you call anything the gateway drug, it's sugar, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, sugar.
And
for
it's
sure.
so normalized.
Well, that's the sickness of our society. I mean, what we're living is absolutely abnormal, right? And you don't realize it until you start to read about it, and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is set up to like, right? And we could go down the rabbit hole, but I mean, and that's why we're so sick. You know, it's all money, right?
Yeah.
And who
Is how do we beat it? We hit the easy button. We get the shot, right? It's not, hey, you guys, you know, watch your diet and exercise. It's, have you considered Ozempic? Or right?
the easy way out. People, that's what I'm saying. Like the pain is a catalyst, and if we can feel our pain, it's a motivator. It's a great motivator to change, you know. And I'm a proponent, like, feel your pain. And there's so many things out there to tell us to not feel it, right? And that's the micro addictions, the TV, the cell phones, even the sugar, which is actually bigger than a micro addiction, right? But yeah, it's about taking our power back. And how do we take our power back? And it's truly an inside job. And it's going inside and figuring out why you do the things you do. And I think recovery, and that's why I've worked in the recovery field, because I truly believe there are so many bright lights that are being snuffed out because of the systems in place, right? Because, I mean, you meet people in recovery, they're artists, they're musicians, they're creatives, they have this like personality. They're the ones that were kind of the black sheep of the family, or like, you know, the ones that just didn't fit in at school. You know, and this is where we need to take our power back. And we do it. I truly believe and know from my journey is that we have to embody and be in the body. And in order to do that, we have to start clearing the body of the traumas, because the body does keep the score, right? And that's, you know, Bessel van der Kolk, and he wrote this big book, and he's saying emotions live in the body. So how do we get the emotions out so that way we can live from who we really are rather than from who we're not? And that's been kind of what I've been teaching for many years, is how to do shadow work, how to do pain body transmutation.
Which is Carl Jung, right?
Carl Jung, which is one of the founding fathers of 12 Steps, Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And it's shadow work. It's doing the fourth and the fifth step, but taking it so seriously, where you're doing it regularly on yourself, right? And where you can do it and begin to face yourself so much where you don't need to tell somebody about, you know, but you can look at yourself squarely and say, gosh, that, you know, that's part of me, and to integrate it and love yourself back to wholeness. And that's how we'll change the world, is one by one. And we need to have a network of people who are working on themselves too, and that do live by a code and core values. And lifting weights is part of that. Like, what does it take to, you know, to build muscle? Discipline, devotion, right? Accountability. Effort, you know, and these... Protein. Yeah. Lots of it. Yes.
Steak, eggs.
So yeah, you know, so how do we do that, you know? And yeah, I think, you know, when we said online, right? It's like working out, or, you know, training is spirituality. It's a spiritual practice. When you push yourself, and the pain, when you tear the muscle to rebuild it,
and
you know,
the resilience you can build, because anybody out there who works out, I'm sure you can relate to this. You get to those last few planned reps and it's starting to burn, hurts. It's really easy to talk yourself into being like, well, I don't need to do 10. I could just do 8. I'm good. It's easy to quit. And then those moments where you push, you develop a certain level of like, okay, confidence. You're cultivating resilience because you push past your mental boundary. You talked that slacker in your head back from winning, right? Yeah, I love weight training. There's so much. I processed the death of Eddie McGee here, a good friend of mine, was a workout partner. We worked out every day together. I processed his death while working out, and like that was a pretty traumatic experience because my Zen space was now also my space of pain because that's where I worked out with him all the time. So it was like, and when I came through that, I was like, all right, this is the key, because I would be mid-set, break between sets, and I would be bawling my eyes out. The gym culture too, the people in there never, I had a couple people ask me, you good, man? I'm like, just going through some things, and they're like, here for you. So that gym culture too is part of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're there for our mental health too. And, but, as you say, like, those periods, and what I know from my own journey too, is that as a society, we need to learn how to rupture. The rupture is where we have an opportunity to grow. And if we skip that part, it's just going to come around in some other form until we go deep into it. And I think that's the hardest part, especially for people in recovery, is we spend so much of our time lost in the wilderness and in pain. It's like, why do I want to go back into it again? Like, it doesn't, but that is where the opportunity is, like the grief, and to release those things from our field or our bodies. And the universe is so loving and so kind that it will keep giving us opportunity to be able to feel those emotions out of the body so we can get to where we want to be and whatever our dreams are. I want to do, this nonprofit, and like, I want to help all these people. Well, you will have to let go in order to rise. And it's a continuous letting go. The
ebb and flow to it.
It's really, it's like letting dead weight off that we've been carrying our whole lives, and sometimes in other lives too. I'm a very big believer in past lives, and that sometimes we carry things that are from the past, deep past.
Yeah. And even, I think there's such thing too as generational trauma. What did your parents experience that was passed down through teachings, through beliefs, that type of stuff that, sometimes you have to look at it and really analyze, what is this belief? What is it serving me? Why was I taught this? What did they experience that made them think this was correct? And that's that shadow work.
Yeah, it's like, but it's also epigenetics, and it lives in our DNA. Mm-hmm. And how do we turn off parts of the DNA? They're just
starting to really get into epigenetics too.
And we'll see in the future how science and spirituality are actually very close. They're not separate. And
metaphysics is
quantum physics.
Yeah. That's one thing I've done a ton of research on, is like, so what got me, and ironically, I was on Vyvanse at the time, so like Ritalin, and I went down this rabbit hole of like the double slit experiment, and how are you familiar with it? They fire a photon through this. Think of this board with two slits in it. They fire a photon, and nobody's looking. There's a wave dispersion pattern on the other side of these two slits. So, and they're like, it's ironic. We're firing a single photon, and it's a wave so it's a wave of possibilities. So then they observe it, and it goes through one side or the other. So they're like, okay, well, I guess the observer has some effect on this. So then they're like, we're going to not observe it till it goes through the board. So they wait and they observe it once it's through the board, and the particle would actually go back in time and select a side. So it would come through as a wave and then go back. So I went through this little rabbit hole with this, and some biocentrism as far as like if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? Well, you have to define sound then, which is vibration, which has to have organic eardrum to interpret. So these things kind of led, I'm researching the quantum side of things more, and I'm like, wow, my mindset, how I go into things, whether I'm, grateful or pessimistic, it makes all the difference. So when I was in treatment, where I used this, I learned this when I was on drugs, and then I'm in treatment, and I'm like, I'm gonna become a trainer. And I had visualized it. Tony Robbins, learned a lot from him. Visualized it to where it was like, this has already happened. I know what it feels like to be on the floor training. I know what it feels like to have back-to-back clients all day, and just how energetic I feel and how great of a life that is. I already had experienced that before I'd even actually experienced it, because I'd visualized it so vividly. And then it was just like, okay, the work in between there and here and there was the next part, and that was easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like The Secret, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and that stuff, I mean, absolutely works, right? And that's how I've co-created my life. Like, all of the material things that I've been able to, manifest, going from living in poverty and just completely at the bottom of the bottom to living on Lake Fenton and having these things and having a great marriage and, having these, the abundance, that I've created through my businesses, all of that stuff. It came through manifestation, right? And it's visualization. That's the secret, right? Is that you can do it, but the problem is the subconscious. When we have the stuff in the basement of the mind that we still have to unpack, it will keep us from elevating higher. And that's what I was talking about earlier, like sandbag. Yes, you have to let it go. And it can get, it's like the work never stops. So, I've been doing this path with holistic medicine for almost 13 years now. Before that, it was 12 steps. So almost like 18, 19 years.
Now let's take a moment to thank our sponsors, Pine Haven Assisted Living. At Pine Haven Assisted Living, they believe in making every resident feel at home. Nestled in the peaceful countryside of Hemlock, Michigan, they offer compassionate care in a family-like environment where residents can enjoy independence with the support they need. Registered nurse-owned and operated, their team provides personalized care, home-cooked meals, and a range of activities to ensure your loved ones continue to live a fulfilling life. They also have alpacas and llamas on site to enrich the lives of their residents. Experience the warmth and comfort of Pine Haven. Call them today at 989-295-6632. That's 989-295-6632. Or you can visit them on their website at pinehavenassistedliving.com. That's pinehavenassistedliving.com for more information. Now, back to the Level Up Life. How many years clean do you have?
So I had 8, and I had a reoccurrence, and then now I have like 9 now. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, but I don't like to keep track of it. That's the thing, because I feel like we can wear it as a badge of honor. And I've heard so many people say, I've got 25 years in recovery, and yet they're still like, drinking coffee, addicted to cigarettes, and they're still living a lifestyle. And not to say I don't want to take all of it away, but sometimes it can be a hindrance because you think you've made it like to this, like, I've got this coin and like, I'm good. But it's a lifelong process. And that's where the mind, body, and spirit like really helped me to unravel those parts of myself, so that I could have the life that I wanted. I was so sick of suffering, man. And what I have learned in my journey is that I have to learn how to suffer, because the suffering's not going to end, because you're going to lose people. It'll just reappear, right? So how do you suffer? And that's right. We go back to weight training, right? When we go to failure, it's a suffering feeling, right? And when we train ourselves to feel that and know something is on the other side, bigger muscles, more
DOMS
tone.
is suffering too. Delayed onset muscle soreness. The next day where
Cold
you're
plunge. You got to do a cold plunge.
Right.
That is like been a game changer for me. Now that will build mental resilience like no other. So I just started doing, I'm up to like 5 minutes now.
Yeah.
And
Do you get a setup for it and everything?
At the health club. So
Okay.
Henry Ford is where my husband and I work out.
Okay.
They have a cold plunge there.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it's soreness gone. Right. You have to be careful not to do it right after the pump, because you want to make sure you build that muscle and stuff. But
I've read some science on that where it's like can be counterproductive if you're like right into it, but
everyone's different too, though. So some women are like, don't cold plunge. Like, it's totally not for women. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, it makes me so much more sharper. Like, my vision actually improves.
Well, the key part of that is cold.
oh yeah. Well, I like the heat too. We knew a guy who he would work out at 70 degrees in the gym, old brew. He'd be in sweats, hoodie, and he'd have a beanie on. He'd be working out, sweating, and then he'd go down into the sauna, go from sauna to hot tub to pool, cycle through to change his body temperature, surface body temperature at least. And
Yeah, I'll do a sauna for 15 minutes, and I go on the cold plunge for 5.
well,
And I try to do
drastic changes.
Yes, and it is. It's like my whole vision, because the brain is perceiving that you are actually like dying because you're in this cold water, and so my vision gets really super sharp, and I'm just like, ooh, like so aware of everything, and then I get that dopamine burst afterwards. So, but my soreness goes away, and the soreness is like, ooh, because when you're, 5 days a week was a little bit too much for me. Yeah.
It's for youngsters, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get away with it, just structure in a certain way where you're prioritizing recovery, and then it gets into preference too. Like right now I'm 4 pretty intense days a week, and then I'll do active, like some form of cardio on Friday, because I don't have a lot of the time to get cardio in at the gym. So I stack it all on Friday.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I spend about 2 hours in the gym. So I do the hour workout, and then I do, about 20 minutes, maybe a little longer on the treadmill. And then I do at least the sauna. So I go to also Powerhouse in Fenton. So I go between both of them. I like Powerhouse because there's people that are super motivated, like to build muscle.
Yeah.
And I like the culture there. Health Club is more like, you got a lot of cardio bunnies, and, it's just a different experience, So
The gym, the whole vibe at a gym can set the tone for your workout too. That's where like the first gyms I was at were like, there were a bunch of awesome, like I call them monsters. They're massive dudes. And I was like, how do you guys lift? Like picking their brains. And they were all, when you talk culture, I'm sure it's like that at the Powerhouse, where you think there's this giant meathead. He's probably a dick, It's what a lot, I feel like, people can perceive. When you ask them a question, they're like the nicest people.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like,
no,
They'll ruin their workout just
to help
to
you out.
oversaturate you with knowledge and all that.
Yeah, I try to stay away from the conversation. So I'm like the chick that just goes in there, like doesn't talk to many people
I
except
was
maybe.
gonna say it's a lot different for a woman too than like I don't ever talk to females really in there either. Like, oh, hey, you left this over there. Because I don't want them to think that here I am, this creeper. Like, hey, look, I'm happily married. Pay attention to that before you think I'm hitting on you. And you're all like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it is hard because I like guys. Like I prefer to be. I've preferred to be kind of work with men, and it just there's a lot less drama with men. But with the code and the gym, it's like, you know, we're all there because we have some level of like vanity, if you will. I mean, we want to look good, right? Some level, some greater than others, right? And then there is also like a strong undercurrent of sexual energy. I mean, right? Your body, I mean, and I'll name it. I'll put it out there, right? So
yeah, the vanity thing is funny because I started and it was just the mental thing, and I would always tell people like, I'm the least vain dude that there is. The bigger I get, the bigger my clothes get. I don't like people making comments. And then it was last July, I pinched nerves in my right side, bout went disabled.
really,
And it took a long time to get through that, but how bad that messed with my head, I'm like, I'm a lot more vain than I thought because this is freaking killing me. Like, I had a pack here, and I looked like a 10-year-old little boy on my right side.
yeah.
And the pain only lasted significantly for 3 days. And after that, it was just a little tight. I never had pain in my chest. I had no power in my arm. Never had pain there. But, you know, if I broke my leg, I could live with, okay, legs are going to get smaller. I can't train legs, all that. I could accept that. But being the nerve thing, especially when I felt fine walking around, that was hard. That was very, very hard for me.
Yeah.
That's just another example of resilience building in the gym, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, you worked through it, right? Mm-hmm. Here you are.
Well, yeah, I went to the gym because I was starting to get cellulite. And I was like, there is no way I'm going to be living on Lake Fenton with cellulite all over my body. All right. I mean, seriously. And it was starting to form, and I'm 48, right? So I'm getting to that age where it's like, I still have like, I can still, you know, rock a little bit, you know, but it's going to start to go. I mean, next 10 years, right? So.
Doesn't have to.
Well, I mean, I still see women that are like 55, 60 in the gym. I see all the way, yeah. But I mean, you're still going to get older and you're going to age. I mean, that's just like how, you know, your skin, the laxicity, all of that stuff. But yeah, and now I feel better in my body than I ever have. Even with like some of the aging stuff. Like I feel more comfortable than I ever have. And I love it.
I've been dealing with an injury to the pubic symphysis, right? And so I play fast pitch softball, and during some sort of movement, whether it was the stride, so your pubic symphysis is the front of the bottom of your pelvis. This little area that's held together like this. Well, I went to RMI in Flint, had an MRI on it. I thought I'm like, I need a hip replacement. Something's going on with this. Turns out that I'd sprained that. Right? So when it's sprained like that, your actual pelvis, instead of sitting like this, actually opens up like that. So it's creating all these other problems. And I was like really struggling with this whole process because this is still ongoing. It's not healing. What am I going to do? Am I going to need surgery? All these things. Well, local chiropractor told me to get Abby, she was actually the first one, physical therapist that we had on here, told me to get a pelvic support belt right here. So it would keep that area from, because when you stride, it's like puts pressure on that area and it just wasn't healing. So that's my like current struggle with aging. And it's been this whole process over the last year where I'm like, man, there used to be no awareness to these things because I felt like invincible. I've always been athletic all my life. I've always snapped back from stuff really quickly. And this was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to be playing softball. And then also like the whole, if you broke my leg thing, like I can't train legs anything like I used to. So it's really depressing as to some extent, but I know like I look at it like, okay, I can still do some things. And this is just it's building up that resilience for me even more. It's just another speed bump. The lessons that come with it, I can apply to other areas of my life.
So remember, the body keeps the score, right? And we're not just dealing with the physical body. We're dealing with the energetic body too. And this is all Eastern medicine. So people that do chiropractic care, people that do acupuncture, people that do Reiki like myself, and I do acupuncture, which just for the ear. So the body keeps a score, and Eastern medicine has known this and knows that emotions will live in certain parts of the body. Trauma, hips. Hips will store trauma. So getting into those hips with that awareness that you have stored trauma in the hips, and to do low yoga squats, and to start, working with the root chakra and things like that. Because you had asked me, did I do yoga? Yeah, I did it for about 5 years religiously.
I love the deep squat. It's like my favorite. I actually will do it. I don't know if you've seen me in the gym training people, but I'll be in that position. I encourage people. That's one of the most natural positions for our body, because before the invention of the chair and the toilet, what was our main position? Resting, deep squat. Bathroom, deep squat.
Labor and deliveries, deep squat.
Yeah.
And now it's all medicalized, and it's all jacked out of shape, right? So it's like we've been, duped, if you will. But
Try going to a waiting room at a doctor's office or something and just sit over, instead of sitting in the chair, do a deep squat and see how people look at you. It's pretty comical.
You've done it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Nice. I'd have to go to the doctor for that. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Try it. I encourage everybody, try it, see what type of looks you get. And that's actually the best thing you can do for your body. Deep squat.
Deep squat for sure. But back to the energy medicine too. And like with your shoulder, you said that you had something with your shoulder, your right shoulder, right? Is that your right one?
I don't know. Oh, it was it was just a pinched nerve up in my trap.
Carrying the weight, right? Shoulders, where we carry the weight of the world, whether, on the right side, masculine energy. So Eastern medicine says that the body's divided in half. You have the right side, which is the masculine, the left side, which is the feminine. I typically have more injury on the right side, masculine, right? They also say in AccuDetox is that yin, empty fire, which is the feminine, that addiction. It's not that we have a strong masculine, it's we have a weak feminine. And if we look at the world, what's going on with the women, right? The feminine energy. We're all hard, fast, outward, perform, right? All masculine energy, but where's the feminine energy? And we all have feminine energy within us. The nurture, the inward, the dark, right? And we've snuffed that out. We don't have it, So we need to bring back to balance.
Balance. That's what we all chase, whether it's balance with work, exercise, nutrition, family, and a lot of the time it gets overwhelming, right?
It's
like work. I gotta work. 40. The average person works 40-hour week, and then they have, 8 hours a day for that. They sleep for 6, maybe 6 to 8. Then the time outside of that, gym, eating, family, how do you balance all this?
It's the system. It's systemic. I don't believe that we were designed to work 40 hours a week for our whole lives and work and die. You know what I'm saying? It's like people will retire and then they die like a year later. Like, what is that? Like, that's right. The mindset is, and for me, how I kind of live my life is, work for me is, I work as like more of a consultant, where I work when I want to work, when I have the passion, and then I balance and build like my son. We homeschool and, you know, robotics and all of that stuff. And then the working out, I like to work out midday. So 2:00 is my best time for me to be able to work out. And I formatted my life to be able to accommodate this. I've co-created my reality to not work 40 hours, 50. I mean, crazy. My husband, he works, you know, 55 hours a week. He's an engineer, right? That's what he's chose. That's what he's chosen, and he's okay, and that's what he does. But for me, I don't want to do that to myself. I want to have more flexibility, and it's abundance, and it's a mindset. But you have to let go of the things in your subconscious, the poverty mindset. You've got to go into those doors that you're afraid to enter. Joseph Campbell, behind those doors are jewels waiting to be reclaimed by you. People are so afraid to go into their traumas and what happened to them or what they did to other people too, right? And the shame and the guilt and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the answer. Like the secret will only work to a certain point. But when you start to wanting to get into larger amounts of revenue, larger amounts of impact with people, you got to be prepared to feel that pain and to let go of those things.
On that, like trauma can be like, I created this experience so when I overdosed, I've really tried to reach out to, so I was front desk clerk at a hotel, and just by chance, this was my guardian angel. I don't know what she was there for. I don't know. I know her name. I've paid someone to find her. I know who she is because of the police report and all that. She has not replied to me. That's her choice, right? If she doesn't want to open that door. But I don't know if I brought up trauma for her, because what if this woman's younger brother or dad or someone overdosed, right? That's her trauma that, okay, now she's walking in to check into a hotel, and I'm, because of my actions, throwing that trauma right in her face because of her lived experiences. So I've tried to, that's one like amends that I haven't been able to make, aside from a living amends to her, you know, because I don't know what I caused her. She's the one that saved my life by being there, though.
Well, you know, when we make amends is, you know, to do no harm to, right? So sometimes that amends is, you know, it's to yourself too. And I think that we can be our own worst enemies.
Oh, yeah.
And that forgiveness, you know, like I said earlier in this podcast, like the punishment. When am I going to stop punishing myself? You know, and that self-forgiveness.
Yeah, it's easy to forgive other people. It's hard to forgive yourself.
Yeah. I was just talking with someone who, gentleman was telling me he let someone harm, not in any like substantial way, but another person, because he thought it made that individual happy, which now he's got this burden on himself for kind of being in the middle of it, right? And without going into too much detail, I explained to him, I'm like, it's a lesson. You can't hold on to that and not forgive yourself forever, because you're going to be miserable. Growth happens in the really, really tough places, like what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's, for me, like when I started to look at, and EMDR has been a huge part of my journey the last couple of years. So I do teach how to do it on your own, but the more I go along this journey, most people aren't in a place to do that kind of work on their own. I did. And then when I found EMDR, which is the same thing, it's shadow work, and they use a light to, they say it reprograms the brain, but essentially a trained therapist will take you through a traumatic event that you had in the earliest part of your childhood, and you will feel all of the emotions, and they'll walk you through the feeling of it. And then what they ask you to do is take your current self and reparent your child self. And what happens, and that's EMDR, but what happens with soul retrieval, and it's more of a Native American concept, is that you actually reclaim that part of your soul that broke off during that traumatic event. And every time you go into one of those doors of trauma, you begin to reclaim that part of your soul, pieces of your soul. Yeah. And that's the gem, right? Because you become more whole. When you become more whole, you become more peaceful.
Yep.
And the peace is everything. To actually have like peace of mind and peace of heart.
Yep.
And that's where I'm at right now, is protecting my peace at all costs. Like, I will say no and set a boundary with things that will try to rob me of my peace.
No. Yeah, that's hard to do.
It's so hard because, well,
ambition can get in the way of that. I mean, the needs of others. If you put those, so like you talked about that caring aspect, you can put the needs of others before your own, and then cause harm to yourself because of it. And it's not even something people like consciously do. They're just like, I want to help this person.
It's codependency. And that was that reoccurrence I talked about. That was all centered around codependency and trying to be loved by somebody that was not good for me, right? And that's been the layers. So we have addiction, we have substance use disorder, get rid of the alcohol, the substances, whatever. But then you have your relationships. And how are you showing up in your relationships? And most recently is the lack of boundaries right up front. And being with people who have similar core values. You have to say no to people, places, and things that aren't in alignment with how you live your life. I mean, that's just, what it comes down to. And it can manifest in relationships, a job, a place or whatever that or even certain family members. Like, I've had to, not talk to certain family members because they're not there yet, and you can love with detachment, and that's Al-Anon, right? You can love somebody and not have a relationship with them, and part of that is love. That is love. Setting boundaries with people, that is love, and I think that that's where, when I had my massive spiritual awakening, I saw the truth of what love really was. And when it was shown to me, the first thing I said was, oh my God, we don't even know what it is here. Really. Like, we get little like glimpses of it, little like flecks of it, but the actual like thing is so, and there's no words and I still have a very difficult time like expressing through words what it feels like. But that has been like my journey, is how do I get in my body? How do I exude love in a way that like, it repels anything that's like not for me, and it brings forward those things or those people that are for me and that are on a similar journey.
Yep. So is this what you do at Green Terra Holistics, right? That's your business.
Yes. So I'm able to really delve into teaching and energy medicine and boundaries. And I do business consulting too. So I help nonprofits, startup nonprofits that have been in existence for a while. So that's what I did for 10 years. But I do things like I have a 5-day energy cleanse. So like I teach people, like if you go in the grocery store, how sometimes you'll come out and you'll be like, oh, like I feel anxiety in there. Or I just feel like just not how I felt when I walked in there.
Yeah.
Right. And it helps to teach people how to release that energy, if you will, from the body, like using statements, affirmation statements, and again, getting into the shadow work.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we pick up things that aren't ours, but sometimes it shines a light on things that are ours.
Yeah. So how can people find you? Tell them how they can find you before we wrap up here.
Okay. So the website is www.greenterraholistics.com. You can go there and you can find all my courses, all my business consulting, and get in touch with me for one-on-ones if you're interested in the coaching.
thank you for coming on. Thank you for making the drive up.
Yes. Thanks for
pleasure.
having me. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Always appreciate you guys tuning in. You're the reason we do this. So like, comment, share with your friends, share with your family, share with strangers.